Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Dana. I was born and raised in Kentucky in the United States, and I make videos to help you learn English through American culture and everyday life. Everyone, have you ever experienced this kind of situation before? You're really busy. You're doing something and you're obviously very busy, but someone keeps talking to you or asking you questions, and you think, why is this person bothering me? Why do they keep talking to me? Clearly, I'm busy. They should wait until I'm done. Right? In Japanese, you might say in this case, この人空気読めないな. Right? 空気を読む. I want to talk about this phrase today. This is a common phrase in Japan. But how can we express it in English? Have you ever thought about it? Today, I'm going to teach you how to explain this concept in English. So, if you're Japanese and you have friends or coworkers from other countries and they ask you about Japanese culture, this video will help you explain it to them. Or if you aren't familiar with Japanese culture, that's also okay. In this case, this will actually be a chance for you to learn about two cultures, Japanese culture and American culture. I'm going to explain this in English and then talk about what Americans think. Do we have the same culture or do we think differently? When Americans run into this kind of situation that I just explained, how do we react? What do we think? This is what we're going to talk about today. So let's get started. First, how can we explain 空気を読む in English? I lived in Japan for over 4 years, so I think I have a pretty good understanding, but after listening to my explanation, if anyone thinks I missed something or if you would explain it differently, definitely let me know in the comments. Anyway, 空気を読む means paying attention to what's happening around you before you decide what to do or what to say. Let's say you're at work and your coworker looks really busy, but you want to talk to them about something. If you follow this idea of 空気を読む, you would wait. You wouldn't talk to them right away. You would wait until they aren't busy anymore and then ask if they can talk. Okay? Another example, let's say your friend just broke up with their girlfriend or boyfriend and they look really sad. They broke up. They're not in a relationship anymore. But you want to tell them about something nice your partner did for you. Your own relationship is going very well. But because your friend is sad that they just broke up, you decide not to talk about that at that time. You don't want to make your friend upset or uncomfortable, right? So you don't say anything. The important point here is you're trying to understand what people are thinking or how they're feeling without them directly saying it to you. You need to pay attention to people's facial expressions, emotions, and the timing of what you say. This concept is 空気を読む, and it's very important in Japanese culture. Now, how do we actually say this phrase in English? We don't have an exact translation for this phrase. If you directly translate 空気を読む into English, it might say, read the air. Read the air, but we don't say this. So I'm going to teach you two ways to naturally express this idea depending on the situation. The first phrase is read the room. Read the room. It's actually similar to read the air, but not air, room. Read the room. I think this is the closest phrase we have in English. Okay, in what kind of situation do we use this phrase? This phrase focuses on the whole situation. How people are acting, the kind of background, atmosphere, everything. It doesn't focus only on one person's feelings. And we usually use this as a kind of warning or advice to someone. A warning means telling someone to be careful. For example, let's say you're at a funeral. A funeral is an event that takes place after someone passes away, right? After someone has died. It's very quiet. The atmosphere is very still and serious, right? Then let's say someone tries to make a joke. They try to be funny, they're laughing and speaking in a loud voice. In that situation, you might say, "Hey, read the room. Hey, come on, read the room." Okay? Because they're not acting appropriately for that situation. Another example, you're having a very serious meeting at work, let's say. Maybe your company is in a very bad financial situation. And as you're talking about that, your coworker suddenly asks you, "Oh, what are you having for lunch? I'm hungry." That's totally inappropriate for the situation, right? The timing is really bad. So you could say again, "Hey, read the room. We're not talking about that. Read the room." Okay? As you can see, this phrase is used a lot when someone is being inappropriate. They say something they shouldn't say, or they say something at the wrong timing, or they're being a little rude. In that kind of negative situation, we use this phrase, read the room. The other phrase I want to share is be considerate. Be considerate. I know there's a similar phrase in Japanese that some of you may have just thought of, "気を使う," right? This is similar to be considerate. But I also think 空気を読む. I think this concept can also be explained by this phrase, be considerate. The difference from read the room is that this phrase focuses more on people's feelings. It focuses on making people comfortable. So, for example, remember the situation again I mentioned at the beginning. You want to discuss something with your coworker, but they look really busy. So you wait until they're done. In this case, be considerate is more natural than read the room. You're being considerate of your coworker, we can say. Another example, you're hanging out with your friends or you're hanging out in a group and you notice one person is really quiet. They're not talking much. Maybe they're shy or they're not good at speaking up in group settings. So you ask that person some questions to include them in the conversation. You make sure they're more active in the conversation. In this case, we would also say you're being considerate. In conclusion, these are two phrases you can use to explain 空気を読む in English. Read the room and be considerate. So if someone asks you what this Japanese phrase means, you can explain it using these phrases or the examples I gave you. Lastly, let's talk a little bit about American culture. So is reading the room important in the US? Well, first, I want to say this. Reading the room is really just basic manners, isn't it? Think about the funeral example. People understand that funerals are a sensitive space, so of course we act appropriately. We're careful. I think this applies to all people. This is just basic kindness. So the answer is yes. In the US, reading the room is important. And people try to do this, especially in the workplace and some social situations. If you're able to read the room and help maintain a positive atmosphere, people will generally see that as a good social or professional skill. It's a good skill to have. But one thing that's different about American communication is that we also expect people to be more direct, to be relatively direct. In the US, I don't feel like I have to guess as much what other people are thinking. When people want you to do something, they tell you. And when they don't want you to do something, they also tell you, usually. Or, I don't know, when I was thinking about this, I realized maybe I'm just better at reading the room in the US because I grew up here, right? I grew up in this culture. So maybe I'm just better at reading people here. And read people, that means to understand or guess what people are thinking. So I'm really curious. Do you guys feel like you spend a lot of energy trying to read the room? Or do you not even think about it? If you grew up in that culture, maybe you just get used to it. So please let me know what you think in the comments. I'm really interested. But anyway, I tried to think of a couple examples here of reading the room in the US that I see often, or I experience. At the workplace, I think this is pretty important. Maybe this is in all countries, but during meetings or group discussions, Americans often pay attention to people's body language or eye contact. We try to see who is interested in the conversation, who seems uncomfortable, and when it's a good time to speak up. We still share our opinions actively, but we pay attention to the timing. We consider reading the room a very important skill for leaders and professionals. Also in daily life, for example, we often use small talk. Small talk, I talked about this in one of my other videos, but if we're in a space with someone and it's really quiet, we might make small talk because we think that this will make the other person more comfortable. I myself do this pretty often when I'm on the elevator or in a waiting area with someone. Of course, if someone clearly doesn't want to talk, most Americans would notice that and leave them alone. So we do think about the timing. And one more example, we use humor a lot. Humor in the US. If a situation suddenly becomes awkward, it's a little uncomfortable, or something goes wrong, we often feel like we should say something to get rid of that awkward feeling. We might make a joke to lighten the mood, to improve the mood, or to make everyone more comfortable. That's another way people read the room in the US. So, Americans absolutely read the room. We do. But we also expect people to communicate their needs more directly. But anyway, what do you guys think? This video is mostly just my personal interpretation and my personal opinions and experiences. So if you don't agree with some of the things I said, that's totally okay. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Do you think you're good at reading the room? Do you think this is an important skill to have? Or does this kind of expectation make you stressed out or tired? Some people might think, always constantly trying to read the room can be tiring, right? Some people may feel like that. So let me know how you feel in the comments. But I'm going to wrap up this video here. Thank you for watching to the end. I will see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.